What's going on, everyone? My name is Joseph Reynolds, and today joining me is Kaytlin Neil, who you're going to see on the PFL Challenger Series. Ahead of your bout upcoming on the PFL, how are you feeling for it?
I'm actually really excited. Obviously, I've never fought for PFL before, so I'm really excited to fight for them and get paid to fight. So it'll be fun.
100%. And it's a really great opportunity for you as well. Obviously, after the Ultimate Fighter, and to get this as well, what have these experiences and having this experience coming up been like as a fighter, still early on in your pro career?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I got thrown into the wolves pretty early in my pro career. I was on Bellator for my third fight, and then I fought for Invicta, I think, for like my fourth, and then I got to go on the Ultimate Fighter, which was so awesome. And I think PFL was the only thing that I was like really missing and like I didn't get to experience. So it's been like really cool and really fun.
Yeah, and post the Ultimate Fighter, he was obviously able to go and get a win and come into the year with momentum. And obviously, get a win here, it sets you up nicely for the PFL and puts you on a winning streak. Is that the sort of goal now, to keep trying to build on the momentum?
Oh yeah, definitely. I feel like I'm just barely like hitting my peak in fighting. I went through a little rough patch at the beginning of my career. So I am just planning on putting on another dominant performance.
Yeah, and you mentioned there in terms of going into the bout what you're looking to do, but in terms of looking at your opponent and what she sort of brings to the fight and how you see it playing out, what does that look like a little bit?
Yeah, so I'm a little bit taller than her. And so I'm going to stay at my range, pick and poke, try to land some big shots, hopefully drop her. And if I want to, I'll take her down. I'm really comfortable on the ground. And I see myself finishing her in the first by either TKO or submission.
Yeah, and to sort of look at the women that are in the PFL at the moment, obviously Dakota Dechavis just got there. There's also Kayla Harrison as well, and so many fighters like that who've become big staples in the promotion. It is also becoming one of those fighters as well. Is that a goal that you'd have in mind for being in the side of the PFL?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things that drew me to fighting for PFL is that they're now developing their 125 I guess like weight bracket. Yeah. Weight class. And so I want to like be at the head of that. Like I want to be the champion. I want to be the face. I want to be like the person who like is known for being in the PFL.
Yeah, and then a little bit, we touched a little bit on in terms of the Ultimate Fighter experience, but as a fighter, sort of being in there, being around the other women that are competing on there, and then the champions as well, who are both the coaches for the series. What's that sort of like as a fighter, being in that environment 24/7?
It was both like one of the coolest things I've ever done and like one of the hardest things I've ever done. It was like mentally demanding. You're living in a house with all the people that you're going to be fighting, and it's just really stressful. You're cutting weight. You can go and like eat breakfast with your opponent, and that's always uncomfortable and weird. So it's like very, very stressful, but at the same time, it was one of the coolest experiences I've ever gone through. Being able to work with Amanda Nunes really closely, and then meeting all the people on Team Nunes and all the people that I lived with in the house was just such like a fun, cool experience, and I'm so glad I did it.
Yeah, and when you are able to get that, what is sort of the biggest takeaways that you can take from that, and then start to apply to your fight, sort of moving forward outside of that?
Yeah, so I think that was one of the most mentally demanding situations I've ever put myself in. And I'm like a very type A person. I like planning. I like everything like laid out for me. I know what I'm going to do when I'm going to do it. But being in the Ultimate Fighter house, like you're away from your family, you're away from your friends, you're away from your normal coaches, you're away from your normal team. You wouldn't know what practice was going to be like. You didn't know like what was going to happen that week, or if you're going to get pulled by a producer or like whatever. So there's just a whole lot of unknown. And I feel like going through that really made me like calm down and chill out. And I'm way better. Like I'm at handling adversity now. And so I noticed that through my last fight camp. Like I went through a couple injuries. I got cut on my eye, and it was just like, all right, let's just keep going. Like it is what it is, and we're going to go through it. So I think that's one of the biggest like takeaways is like how much I think more mentally strong I am after going through that.
Yeah, and then as well throughout your pro career, you mentioned sort of being in the deep end really early on, and it shows as well in terms of the women that you've got so far. Obviously, Juliana Miller, who was obviously won tough as well, and then so many other women. But in terms of getting that competition in and knowing that you can beat them as well, what does that sort of mean for you when you sort of look at your training and then sort of moving forward as well into this fight?
I think it's just cool to know that like I can hang with girls on the top level. I'm like at that level. And I think the girls that I train with like every single day aren't even close to the level of the girl that I'm fighting next. So I think like it just builds my confidence, and I know that I can go out there and like mentally check in and perform.
Yeah, and then just to touch back on the fight a little bit, obviously with a win, it does put you on the win streak. But in terms of sort of looking at 2023 as a whole, what sort of goals do you have that you're looking to achieve this year?
I mean, I have hopefully 2 fights in the PFL if everything goes smoothly. And I'm hoping to go 2-0 in the PFL and then continue on from there and kind of see how that goes.
Yeah, and then one of the final few things for myself, obviously the PFL and the format that they've got and the layout, it's very different to other promotions. And obviously you already mentioned having the experience with such demanding workload within MMA with tough, and then PFL as well. But how do you feel? How excited are you for that sort of experience in a promotion that sort of does its own thing, not like many others?
Yeah, I think it's really cool. I think it draws more attention to the sport just because it is so different, and for PFL specifically. Um, but I think like going through the Ultimate Fighter is really going to help me perform really well in the tournament style. What I do like about tournaments is that I know what day I'm going to fight, and I know that I'm going to plan for that. So I don't have to like go around being like, oh, what day am I going to fight? Like, hopefully my manager will email me or whatever. I just like, no, this day I'm fighting and it's going to be awesome. And so I can plan for that. So I do kind of like that tournament style.
Yeah, and then there's the final thing for myself. Obviously, if people are yet to hear the name Kaytlin Neil, what is it that they can expect to see in the octagon with this bout coming up and then moving forward inside of the PFL as well?
Yeah, so I like to say I'm a cat fighter. It goes along with my nickname, Katniss. You're going to see a really dominant performance, but also I'm kind of an entertaining person outside of the cage as well. So I make sure you tune in on my social media pages and stay up to date. I kind of like to keep things light and entertaining and funny. But then you'll see a little bit more serious side of me when I'm actually in the cage.
There you go. Well, that's everything from myself. Obviously, PFL Challenger Series kicks off this weekend. There's some great bouts coming up. And then Kaytlin Neil's fight as well. The whole week, the whole card for that fight, for the upcoming fights, and they're really good. I appreciate your time today. If you'd like to take a chance to any sponsors, teammates, anything like that, obviously just feel free to go ahead.
All right. I mean, I want to say thank you to Century Martial Arts for being one of my biggest sponsors, Bad Athletic Supplements. And I want to say thank you to Team Syndicate and John Wood over there for being the best MMA team in the world and the best MMA coach.
There you go. Well, I appreciate your time today. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Bye.